Hi guys, Justin the Critic here, and today I'm going to talk about art. I'm wearing this shirt with one of the greatest artists of all time, Weird Al Yankovic, on it, but I'm not going to be talking about art in music. I'm going to be talking about art in film, and specifically my Criterion Collection. I got 21 films here. And if you're unfamiliar with the Criterion Collection, they're about preserving the art in film. It says so on the back of the box, where it's the Criterion Collection is dedicated to gathering the greatest films from around the world and publishing them in the editions of the highest technical quality with supplemental features that enhance the appreciation of the art of film. And I got 21 titles here, and I'm just going to do a quick overview and talk about what's in my collection. For the next few days, they are 50% off at Barnes & Noble, and I would highly recommend starting your own collection because these are great. The first one, in chronological orders, film from 1921, Charlie Chaplin, The Kid. This is one of the greatest comedies ever made by one of the greatest actors, directors, composers. He did everything, and people don't do that today in Hollywood. So there's this woman, she has this child, and she can't take care of it, so she puts it in the back of a car of a rich man. The car gets stolen by thieves that find the baby, they dump it in the alley. Charlie Chaplin's tramp finds the baby, and this is an hour of laughs and perhaps a tear. And this is a great film. It's a heartwarming film. It's a great film. Check it out. The next film is from a few years later, 1925, and another Charlie Chaplin film, The Gold Rush. Charlie Chaplin plays a prospector, and there's just something about silent cinema where they doesn't make movies like this. It's a different way of filmmaking, and I haven't seen that many, but what I've seen I loved, and Charlie Chaplin is the master of this, and he's, again, a writer, a director, composer. He re-released this film in 1942 where he did narration over it and added a new music score, and Charlie Chaplin's The Gold Rush, highly recommend it. Now we're going another Chaplin film, this time from 1936. This is Modern Times. This is a semi-silent film where it's mostly silent, but there are characters that talk, like the boss, who is a parody of Henry Ford. And he's basically used this movie to stick it to Henry Ford. And there's a lot of great moments about the assembly line. He sings a little song at the end. If you haven't seen any Charlie Chaplin films, I would highly recommend seeking some out. He is great. Modern Times. The next film is not a Charlie Chaplin film, but it is a John Ford, John Wayne film, Stagecoach. This is one of the movies that put westerns from a B genre into the A genre. It started the decades-long dominance of westerns. This was 1939. And Stagecoach, I love John Wayne, love John Ford. This is a masterpiece of the western. Go check it out. The next one is, again, from 1939, Only Angels Have Wings. This is Howard Hawks. He's one of the greatest directors of all time, again. And film critic Leonard Maltin's favorite directors. Howard Hawks, it's about Only Angels Have Wings. It's airplanes, and they're delivering mail, and it's just a thrill of the 1930s aviation, and it's got Cary Grant and Oh Judy! And check out Howard Hawks, he's a great director. Another one is Howard Hawks films, is from the next year, 1940. His Girl Friday. This is a great comedy. It's just surefire. It's so funny. One of the funniest movies ever made. This is one of Quentin Tarantino's favorite films. If you haven't seen His Girl Friday, check it out. Really funny. Now, the first sound film of Charlie Chaplin is The Great Dictator. And this is from 1940. He plays two characters. He plays the Great Dictator, which is a parody of Adolf Hitler. And then again, this is 1940. This is a year before the U.S. entered the war. And then he plays a Jewish barber who loses his memory and he's not understanding what goes on, and then through hijinks, and this is the first sound film. Everybody's pressuring Chaplin to make a sound film, and the first one he does is a parody of Adolf Hitler. This is an iconic film, And if you haven't seen it, check it out. Now, this is My Darling Clementine from 1946, and it's John Ford, Henry Fonda playing Henry Fonda as Wyatt Earp, the shootout at the OK Corral. And again, you cannot go wrong with John Ford westerns. My Darling Clementine, check it out. This is Red River. It's from 1948. And it's not just one of the greatest westerns ever made. It's not just one of the greatest Howard Hawks films, not just one of the best John Wayne films. This is one of my favorite films ever made, and I love this movie so much. You got John Wayne, and he's kind of that like anti-hero. He's disgruntled, but you see his reason why, because what happened to him, and then he's such a tragic character. And John Ford made a lot of John Wayne movies, and he told Howard Hawks, who directed Red River, I didn't know that SOB could act, and that's just how good John Wayne is in this film. It's also got a great performance by Montgomery Clift. It's a great movie. You should check it out. I highly, highly, highly recommend Red River. Now, this is Seven Samurai by Kurosawa, and this is a film which I have yet to watch, but I bought it with the intention to. I love The Magnificent Seven, both of those. I love Bug's Life. This is one of the most iconic Japanese films, and I will watch it before I die, and now I own it on Blu-ray through Criterion, and I am really looking forward to this movie. The next movie is another Japanese film. It's Gojira. Gojira is this Godzilla. The monster rises after nuclear fallout from the ocean, starts wrecking the city. You either seen the modern remakes. This is the original one from 1954. And they remake this film like every 10 years, and it sucks. Just go back and watch the original Japanese film. They also have the American version, which is dubbed, and Godzilla is in my collection. The next film I have in my collection is 12 Angry Men. I can't say much about this film that hasn't been said before. It's got these 12 jurors. They're gotta say if the guy is innocent or guilty, and then he has to convince everybody else's opinion. Henry Fonda in a great courtroom movie. It's like one set film. If you haven't seen 12 Angry Men, I don't think that's even possible, but you gotta check that out right away. It's great, and check it out, 12 Angry Men. I have another Western here, which is not directed by Howard Hawks or John Ford, but this is 3:10 to Yuma. And 3:10 to Yuma is one of those movies that they remade in 2007. I have not seen that, but it's one of those where they were on sale, and I'm like, ooh, it's a Western, which is iconic, so iconic that they did remake it. And the theme song by Frankie Lane is amazing. The guy whistles it throughout the movie, and it's got a great ending, and I love this movie, 3:10 to Yuma. It's in my collection. The next film I have is another Kurosawa film, and it is Hidden Fortress. This is the movie that George Lucas saw, and then he's like, has a lot of influences on Star Wars. And it's just so cool to see where everything came from, how people got their inspiration for new movies, and another Japanese film. But you got like the two peasants, and then they're like the inspiration for R2-D2 and C-3PO. They got the samurai guy that they stumble upon, who's kind of like Obi-Wan, and they have to smuggle gold from one kingdom to one province to the other. And this is a very entertaining film. It's got some comedy. It's got a lot of great action. Hidden Fortress, recommended. Lord of the Flies, an adaptation of the book by William Golding. This is one of the most faithful adaptations of books to film. It's got a great young cast, and it's basically, they took the book, and then they're like, well, let's film the book, and I really appreciate that, and I love this movie, Lord of the Flies. Check it out. Rumblefish by Francis Ford Coppola from 1983. This is one which I have not seen. This is one where I had a viewer said, hey, you should do a review on Rumblefish. and I'm like, it's in the Criterion Collection. I'll check it out, and I'll try to do that sometime in the channel for the future. And it's got Nicolas Cage. And this is a black and white film from 1983. There's not a lot of those, and I'm excited to watch this when I get around to it. Now I have Richard Linklater's Before trilogy. This is 3 films. They follow the same 2 characters over the period of 18 years. You got Before Sunset, and then you have Before Sunrise, which came out 9 years later, and then Before Midnight, which came out 9 years after that. And it's Richard Linklater has this obsession with time, and this is just how you follow these characters over this period of time and how they change and evolve. I've only seen the first one, but I'm so excited to see how this journey continues, because Richard Linklater is one of those directors which has a few films in the Criterion Collection, which is one of the more modern directors, and it's like, why does he have more films in the collection than Howard Hawks? Why does he have more films in the collection than John Ford? But he's just so unique as a director, from these movies, from School of Rock, and from another film that I will mention in a few seconds, that I'm very interested in seeing how like these modern films that they have in the collection hold up to all these great iconic films that I have. And last but certainly not least, another Richard Linklater film about time, and this is Boyhood. This is a film, the only film in the Criterion Collection which I've actually seen in the theaters. It came out in 2014, and I loved it. They filmed it over 12 years. It's about the kid growing up between 1st and 12th grade, and it just seemed cool how these actors, not just the kid, not just Mason Jr., but the father, the mother, and it's so simplistic, but yet it's so complex at the same time, where the storytelling is simplistic, but the film techniques are so complex. And again, it's Richard Linklater and time, and this is a movie that they'll never make again, because it takes 12 years to make this movie, and it's one that a lot of people like it. It's got 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, but then there's a few critics like, the only thing that's good about this is the gimmick of filming it over 12 years. I highly disagree. I've seen this movie 4 or 5 times, and I absolutely love it. I love the acting, and I love the simplicity of it, and that is Boyhood. So of these films that I have in my collection, which ones are your favorite? Which ones are in your collection? Which ones do you want to do a full, more in-depth review on? And please like, subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. I highly appreciate it. See you later. May the films be with you.